Whoa, what's that stench around the Tories now? Oh, it's overpowering. Could you believe it? 5 people are accused of gambling on the election with inside information. One former MP standing again has admitted a police officer has been suspended. We're not sure what he's pleading. Another candidate is still there, hasn't been suspended at all. The head of the party's campaign and the data manager are both on leave of absence in the middle of a campaign. It is absolutely unprecedented. If you think the Tories are sleazy, sordid, running out of time, a bunch of entitled, privileged pricks, you might be right. Anyway, welcome. And the special guest we have tonight, I'm delighted to say, is comedian and satirist Rosie Holt. Rosie Holt, MP. Rosie Holt, Conservative MP. You're known as desperate and loyal. How can you defend this betting scandal?
Well, Kevin, quite easily, really. You have to understand that there's an independent investigation going at the moment. So at the sake of being, what the Sue Gray is going on here, and until we find out what the independent review says, we really can't comment much.
Well, your fellow candidate in Colchester, the Olympic rower James Cracknell, has said the Tories are, and I quote, this is a Tory candidate, a shower of shit. Are you a shower of shit?
No, I'm not a shower of shit. Though, I think there's nothing wrong with a shower of shit. It's something that used to happen a lot back in the day. And I think people do need to be, acclimatized a bit better to shower of shit. And I'd say rivers of shit, actually,
Yeah, rivers of shit. I've been reading, Rosie, your very self-serving book called Why We Were Right, a catalogue of Conservative successes. Very impressive. You can get that to run to 199 pages after the last 14 years, those successes. But you do say in a section on pooey rivers that we have to regard smelling poo as just acceptable.
Yes, I do believe that. Obviously not everywhere, but if you're living in particularly stinky areas, you've got to remember that in Victorian times, things always stank. It was just a way of life, and people would throw shit out the window, out the door, on people's heads. And that was just what being British was all about. And I think we've got to remember those times.
Do those pooey areas include the north, where you describe levelling up as bringing the north into the light?
Look, I have a great affection for the northern people. They're funny little folk, and I think they're very, they're always there, aren't they, with a cup of tea and a little flat cap. And I think they're delightful. I wouldn't say anything to our northern voters that would upset them. Vote Tory is what I'd say to them, because we've got your back.
Yeah, I read too that you had a very tough upbringing. The Prime Minister Rishi Sunak didn't have Sky TV. You had an ugly dog called Carol.
Yes, I did. Thank you for bringing that up. It is quite hard to talk about. Our dog was exceptionally ugly, and I mean, to the point that people would comment on it. And I'd have to walk this dog. And also, I think it was mentally ill, Kevin. I know you're not supposed to say that now, but it was. And so it would bark at really strange points. It would bark at lampposts or boys pretending to be lampposts, which boys frequently did, because, boys can be cruel. And that was hard, but I think it did shape me to the politician I am today.
So do you think, you say, when left-wingers accuse you of being privileged, you can still hear Carol barking with her horrid, hairy face?
Yes.
Does that haunt you?
It does haunt me. It does haunt me, and that's what I think is so funny. The left, they love to say, oh, you're privileged. You're from a privileged background. Well, I dare them to look at pictures of Carol and to say that to my face.
And Liz Truss very misunderstood?
Well, I don't know if Liz Truss was misunderstood. I think there's a lot of mystery around Liz Truss. I think she has some great ideas, wonderful ideas, and I think we should all listen to her. And maybe one day she could be something like leader of the party. But I don't know. Who knows what the future holds?
It's an interesting take to argue that you were right not to give money to the NHS, because normally the Conservative argument is you gave lots of money to the NHS, but you decided just to put your hand up and say, no, we didn't give lots and we were right to do that.
Look, I love the NHS, Kevin. I'm a big fan of the NHS. I think what they do is wonderful. I really do. I really do love them. I think they're great. But there's a lot of criticism on things like austerity, but you've got to remember it's sort of that was kind of keeping the NHS in line, and that's important too, to keep it in line.
Yeah. If you give the NHS more money, does it just waste it on things like nurses and doctors and hospitals and treatment and saving lives?
Well, saving lives is important, but I think we only need one doctor to do that. One doctor, maybe one nurse, and maybe one who does all the other jobs that no one understands. The sort of, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a radiographer, or one of those sort of made up ones. But I think otherwise we don't. We're doing is slimming down the NHS, and they just need to sort of work a bit harder, like we're all doing. I mean, I'm Kevin. It's 6 o'clock, and you're working. I'm working. We're prepared to work extra. That's all I'm saying that the doctors should do as well, and maybe stop striking because it's awful.
Now, Rosie, I know you can keep with your alter ego, your Tory MP, but I can't keep up. Asking you about, but an absolutely a fantastic invention. A character you came up during COVID. Your videos went viral. What gave you the idea to come up with Rosie Holt MP?
I think it was watching MPs be wheeled out in interviews and having to defend something very quickly that they clearly had only been briefed on a few minutes before. And it was Partygate that things really blew up for me, because I think Dominic Raab was defending that infamous picture of them all outside in Downing Street Garden having some wine and some cheese. And he was going, well, no, it's, often when you work, you do that with wine and cheese. And I thought, brilliant.
So do you were you avidly watching the news and thinking, right, that is ripe for a send up?
Yes, yes, definitely. Also, back then it was sort of the pandemic. There wasn't much else to do apart from watch the news and get angry, or cathartically make comedic sketches about it. In my case.
Yeah, what's the power of mockery? I've always thought it's very strong. If you're laughing at people, you're not laughing with them, you're laughing at them, and it just undermines politicians. Figures of authority is what they want to be.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we do undermine them. I mean, whoever's in charge, really, I think need to be undermined on a certain level. I think it's certainly been a lot easier to do that in the last few years. With this government, and I think there's been a real sort of I think people have lost faith in their politicians, which is sad, but also hopefully I kind of point that out as well.
Yeah, but it's a form of accountability, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think, hang on, I mean, if I was one of those politicians you were sending up, I think, oh, am I really like that? And of course they are. That's where some people at the beginning, I remember, thought you were a genuine Tory MP.
Yeah, several MPs actually. I think I had about 2 Labour MPs and an SNP sort of post that I was appalling and I should resign, and then they quickly deleted their posts. and Henry Bolton also said that I was awful and I should stand down.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's you have a wonderful chapter on Brexit to get Brexit done, and it's kind of I love it. You say, yeah, Brexit's a great success, but I'm not giving you any concrete examples.
Well, I feel that's what they do. I was reading the Telegraph the last few days, and all that they've got 2 articles very like that, where they go, the "Don't believe Remainer lies. Brexit's been a great success," and then you read it, and they don't really have anything. There's nothing kind of tangible there. It's all like, well, we've got control. We get to make our own decisions. We've got democracy back, and you go, what's that? What does that mean? How?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the idea of them not really being able to give any concrete examples at all, because it's been a complete disaster, and I think most people know that.
Yeah, as somebody who professionally has lived through this, you've done your homework, because you quote one of the benefits of Brexit is challenging British workers who are on. You say, quotes, the worst idlers in the world. And of course, there was that publication, Britannia Unchained, by a whole load of Brexiteers, Priti Patel, Dominic Raab, and others, which really ran down British workers as those politicians pretend to be patriotic, but they're running down the country all the time.
That's so true. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's this really weird thing where, with the culture wars and everything, where you've got a lot of the government basically talking down our country, but actually talking about how they're huge patriots and they love Britain. But that particular passage I could have real fun with, where they said Britain was the greatest idlers in the world, because of course we've lost so many workers from other countries since Brexit. So my character in that book was able to argue that this was Britain's chance to pick fruit again and do it for Britain.
Yeah. And do you find that that there've been, you mentioned Partygate, Rwanda, you just think in this election campaign, you have things can only get wetter in Downing Street. We've had D-Day, we've had the Titanic, Sky TV, Moni didn't have it, and of course now betting. Are you always worried that the Tories are so bad they're going to kill political satire for you? It's going to be very hard to send them up.
No, I mean, that's why I've done so well in the last few years, is because there's been so much going on. What I'm more worried about is I really don't want the Tories to get in on July 4th, but I'm worried about my job will be a lot harder when they do.
So they create, because they are, but because it's what you do is so believable, because they are so bad. You just give them a little added twist.
Yeah, I think I have to work a bit harder with Labour. Also, I have sympathy for, I think when Labour get in, they're going to be inheriting so much crap.
Yeah.
It's also, you also go, God, how much should I just let them try and get on with it before I pick holes in everything they're doing? But we'll see.
Yeah. Do you think Rosie Holt might defect from the Conservatives to Labour to join Keir Starmer's, become one of the Starmer sisters?
Kevin, I can't say. All I can tell you is that she is very loyal. She's very loyal to the party, and she would describe herself as conservative through and through. But
so she might fit in with Keir Starmer.
Look, Labour doesn't take in anyone. Natalie Elphicke was a pretty left wing, so that made sense.
Do you think she'd been misunderstood, Natalie Elphicke, down in Dover and Deal, when she was denouncing trade unions and everything? Was she deep cover? Was she like a Labour double agent?
Totally. Yeah, I think if you cut Natalie Elphicke open, she would be Labour red.
All the way through, a bit like Blackpool Rock, all the way.
Yeah.
Rosie, can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you on Pole Position. And as I say, your book, look, I've got to get it in the middle, Why We Were Right, available in all good bookshops.
Yeah, all good bookshops, not the bad ones.
No, not the bad. All good bookshops. But it's a really, really good read. And I love that you can get a catalogue of Conservative successes to 199 pages. That is quite a feat by you. Thank you very much for coming on Pole Position. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place on Pole Position.